Yes, 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 the media is biased against Bernie Sanders. It's true. Now, Bernie has been running a ton of ads on Reddit where he's calling out corporate media and all that stuff. But you know what? Maybe you should just start tweeting more about it. Maybe you should speak up directly at your events and call this out. Right now, what's happening is Bernie Sanders is correctly calling out Joe Biden's corruption. Wow. Lo and behold, Bernie. Finally on the Trump train, I guess. Donald Trump has been calling out Joe Biden's corruption for a long time. In fact, he's being impeached for it. Now they say, oh, but he was trying to cheat in the election. You know what, man? Why does Joe Biden get a free pass? Oh, we got Bernie Sanders on board right now. Bernie Sanders' campaign put out a statement. And here's what you get. Paul Krugman. He says, this is a really bad look. Oh, a really bad look. Love that one. It illustrates everything that makes many Democrats distrust the Sanders team. And the buck stops with the candidate. He's quoting this tweet from Mark Murray, who said, the day before the Senate impeachment trial against Trump begins, the Bernie Sanders campaign circulates this op-ed attack on Joe Biden. Burn notice. Joe Biden has a big corruption problem. He does. Joe Biden. How is Joe Biden the front runner? Can I look, listen, Joe Biden can't speak. He often doesn't know where he is, and he inappropriately touches little girls. How is he the front runner? Like, dude, you know, Bernie Sanders has raised like triple, I think, what Biden has raised. So if you were to ask me, it's because people don't pay attention. The people who do pay attention and are progressive are supporting Bernie. The people who don't pay attention are just saying Biden, I guess. And then the crony establishment people are going, I care about Elizabeth Warren. But we'll get to Warren in a second. What I want to address is that Bernie Sanders is finally calling out Joe Biden's corruption. Thank you. Because, you know, the Trump people and moderates have been screeching about it for a long time. Politico ran numerous stories about Joe Biden's soft corruption. And now Bernie calls it out. And of course, Bernie's going to get shredded for it. But hey, it's going to get really interesting when Bernie and Trump supporters start saying the same things. Because they are. Right now, Bernie is talking about Biden's corruption. What do you think Trump supporters have been talking about? What's going to happen when Bernie Sanders supporters start ragging on the media? Oh, they're doing it now? What do you think Trump supporters have been talking about? It's going to be really funny if Bernie wins the nomination. It's going to be hilarious when basically everyone is going to be attacking the press. Like they're going to get torn up. Let's read the story. National Review says, the Bernie Sanders campaign circulated an op-ed on Monday highlighting the transactional, grossly corrupt culture of former Vice President Joe Biden's record, just one day before the Senate begins its impeachment trial over President Trump's alleged attempts to force Ukraine to investigate Biden. Well, would you look at that? Bernie Sanders, are you, dare I say it, going to agree with the Republicans and vote in favor of acquitting President Trump because Joe Biden is corrupt? How could Bernie Sanders simultaneously claim he is an impartial juror, but just a day before the Senate claim Joe Biden is corrupt? How would Bernie Sanders then go on to condemn Donald Trump, which he did on Twitter, saying, Trump, you tried to rig the election. But you think Joe Biden's corrupt too? So hold on. Both Bernie and Trump think Biden is corrupt, but Bernie has the nerve to go after Trump because Trump wanted to investigate it? You know what, man? This is why I don't like politics. I don't like politicians. At least Trump is like, okay. I don't know how to describe what Trump is in terms of honesty, because half the time he blurts out the important, you know what it is? Donald Trump is the perfect example of saying the quiet part loud and the loud part quiet. It's a perfect example of this. He lies about dumb things that don't matter. And then he blurts out the truth when you're like, I can't believe he just admitted that. He's like, I'm going to send troops to Saudi Arabia because they're paying us $1 billion. And you're like, did he just admit it? Like, wow. I loved it when The Intercept said Trump was the most honest president we've ever had, because Trump lies about like dumb things like Stormy Daniels. Who cares? But then when it comes to like foreign policy, he's like, yo, the Saudis, they pay great. We want this contract. We're going to make billions of dollars. Good for the American economy. And people are like, the president's not supposed to admit we're just selling weapons. But Trump does. I mean, that's I got to admit, that's great. Let's read a little bit more. They say, quote, burn notice email sent by the campaign highlights a Guardian op-ed written by Fordham law professor and Sanders supporter Zephyr Teachout, which warns that Biden has a big corruption problem and makes him a weak candidate. It looks like middle-class Joe has perfected the art of taking big contributions, then representing his corporate donors at the cost of middle and working-class Americans. They say Republicans could call the Bidens as witnesses in the impeachment trial slated to begin Tuesday, with Biden's campaign releasing a memo Monday to warn media outlets of spreading malicious and conclusively debunked conspiracy theory on any alleged conflict of interest in Ukraine. The Biden campaign said that any reporting suggesting that Biden engaged in wrongdoing when he executed official U.S. policy to remove a corrupt prosecutor from office amounts to spreading a malicious and conclusively debunked conspiracy theory. Wrong. Sanders has yet to publicly accuse Biden of corruption, while President Trump and his allies have repeatedly touted the claim, citing the former vice president's diplomatic dealings in Ukraine, while his son served on the board of Ukrainian gas company. At the very least, Joe Biden, you have shown us, with your son working for a company that was being investigated by a man you were supposed to be removing, you have terrible judgment. Joe Biden is not the front runner, but he somehow is. Man, we are in serious trouble. I'll tell you this. Look, most Democrats don't care. Don't pay attention. They're like Biden, sure, whatever. That's it. They're not watching the news. They're not hearing what I have to say. They're not hearing what David Pacman or Jimmy Dore has to say, specifically the progressives. They're not listening to any of us. Because if they were, we'd all be saying no Biden. I mean, no, they would all be saying it. We are saying it. Can you think of like a pundit that's actually like a, I guess a digital or internet-based pundit, progressive or right-wing, that has praised Joe Biden? I don't think it exists. Like, dude, you can go and you could take like Steven Crowder and Jimmy Dore and sit them down, and they're both going to rag on Biden and then shake hands and smile afterwards. And I think even someone like Crowder would recognize Bernie is substantially better than Biden in terms in a lot of different ways. I know I don't want to speak on behalf of conservatives or Crowder. What I mean to say, though, I think everybody understands that Bernie is being smeared and lied about. And as much as he's pandered too much, and that makes him a weak candidate, and I think he doesn't have a spine, he is leaps and bounds better than Joe Biden. So I don't understand how Joe Biden, I just really don't get it. Here we go. Here's another one. They say, quote, this is from Rand Paul, "I think the Bidens are as corrupt as the day is long," Senator Rand Paul said last week. "No young man who is the son of a politician gets $50,000 a month who has no experience working for a Ukrainian oligarch. You know, for goodness sakes, it smells to high heaven. It smells like corruption." Yes. Thank you, Bernie Sanders, for finally getting on the corruption train and highlighting this stuff. But I want to point something out. This drag of Joe Biden. This is hilarious. It's from Brianna Wu. Shuan had tweeted it. Brianna Wu says, "Joe hair-sniffing Biden has the nerve to call video gamers little creeps and says games teach people to kill. You know what, Joe Biden? No one ever died from Mortal Kombat. 100,000 civilians died in your Iraq war vote. Spare us the lecture." Ooh, yeah. But so here's the thing. Brianna Wu is very much in the social justice camp of the culture war, but coming out after Joe Biden, that's my point. I don't know who, like, you can take a staunch conservative. Everybody agreed Bernie was getting smeared and slammed, and everybody agrees Biden is trash. I love the meme. Jack Posobiec tweeted it out. It was two arms, and it was Trump supporters and Bernie supporters, and the middle, it's the meme where they're gripping hands, says CNN is trash. Yep, we all agree. Check out the response Brianna Wu got. This guy says, "You sound so much like a Trumpster, disparaging another Democratic candidate this way because his last name isn't Sanders. You guys are poisoning the well. You're going to hand the election to Trump." Aw. Well, let me use the last minute or so to talk about Klobuchar and Warren. This is one of the funniest things ever. Nate Silvers gave his endorsement odds for the New York Times, and he said there's a 10-1 chance they endorse no one or multiple candidates or something dumb like that. Congratulations, Nate Silver. You win a something dumb like that or something dumb like that or something dumb like that prize, because the New York Times endorsed both Klobuchar and Warren. I'm going to tell you why, very simply. Klobuchar is safe, mainstream female candidate. She is the corporate old school Democrat. Elizabeth Warren is the fake mainstream progressive. They both represent a faction in the Civil War within the Democrats. They're both female because they want to play the progressive card, but they don't know who's going to win. If the far left wins, Elizabeth Warren's the reason Warren is running is because she is the establishment plan B. If the far left progressives gain too much power, she swoops in to make sure she is the nominee. She's perfect because she's a woman. So if it's Bernie, they can accuse him of being sexist, like they're doing. But I don't think Warren can beat Bernie because you know Bernie has got the patriarchy on his side. You know what I mean? I'm kidding, by the way. But I will add one last thing. It's funny that they endorsed Klobuchar because this Twitter account digital director for Kamala Harris, said, I personally know and am close with at least 3 people who worked for and were abused by Klobuchar. Her abusive treatment of her staff is disqualifying, and I'm really upset the NYT editorial board chose to overlook it. They don't care about you. The New York Times wants to endorse who they think is going to win. They've endorsed Democrats like going all the way back to 1960 or whatever. It's the game they're playing. The New York Times is promoting these 2 because they don't know which faction will win. That's the game. Welcome to politics. I wonder if it'll be Warren, but Warren is just awful. You know, I'll tell you this, man. I do think Bernie Sanders deserves to be the nominee. There's a lot of reasons why I don't think he'd be good for president. I don't think he can beat Trump. I think he's weak-willed. But I'll tell you this, man. All the other candidates, save for Yang, I think are just not fit for the presidency. Like, I can respect Pete Buttigieg for his service. I don't think he has any idea what he's talking about. I think Andrew Yang is very, very smart, but he'd probably be better suited in an advisory position within an administration. Bernie Sanders, for a lot of reasons, is a better nominee than most of the candidates. But at the end of the day, being better than the rest of the candidates doesn't mean he should be president. I'm sorry. He's too weak. He won't stand up for himself. Okay, I got to keep this one short, so I'll wrap it up there. Main takeaway from the segment is, look, Sanders is finally calling out Biden's corruption. And now they're going to come for him. But if Bernie wins the nomination, I think we're going to see a very similar through line from Trump and Bernie supporters. Stick around. I got one more segment coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.